Hello, hello. We're just waiting for everyone to trickle in from the waiting room. So we'll just give it a couple more seconds and then we'll get started. We'll just wait a little bit longer to see if there's anyone else that's joining us from the waiting room. Okay, I think we're good to get started. So good morning and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Camille Blomdahl and I'm the Director of Client Services at WealthTrace. I will be taking you through the WealthTrace Planner today. I am joined by Doug Carey, who is the founder of WealthTrace and a chartered financial analyst.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining today.
Our main focus for this webinar will be on investment holdings and performance. We will be showing you how the reallocation setting works, how to manually enter holdings and assign asset classes, along with a deep dive into the investment history and breakdown section. If you have any questions as we go along, please send them through the chat or the Q&A, and we will do our best to answer them after each section. We may hold off on answering some of your questions until the end of the webinar, or we may need to follow up with you via email. And to ask us a question, please click on the Q&A button in the bottom of your Zoom window. So we're going to start off on the home screen. So before we head over to the investment history and breakdown section, where we'll be spending most of our time, I want to go over a few other items first that relate to your holdings and overall assets. On the home screen, I'd like to point out that you can view your asset allocation across all your accounts down here to the right. And if you have a future asset reallocation entered, then you will be able to see how your overall allocation will change as well by clicking here. And we're going to head over to the plan inputs and assumptions. So for those of you who are not familiar with the reallocation setting and where to find this, I'm going to show you how to get there. So we're going to go to the plan settings, assumptions, taxes, and then we're going to go down here. So there's an option down here to expand your advanced settings. We're going to do that. And if we go here, you will see the option to toggle this option here to yes. And you can add up to 2 future asset reallocations, and you can choose from one of our model portfolios to reallocate to, or you can create your own. I will show you where to find our model portfolios and where to create your own model portfolio a little bit later in the webinar. Most people will move towards a more conservative asset allocation as they approach retirement to minimize the amount of risk that they are exposed to. So this is an important feature to have and shouldn't be overlooked. So the next screen I'd like to go over with you is the investment asset screen. In here, we're going to show you how to view your asset allocation, exclude accounts from future asset reallocations, and how to manually enter and edit holdings. If you want to quickly view the asset allocation for an account, then you can click on the magnifying glass over here to the right. This will show you the holdings, the balance of each holding, and the asset class that the holding is assigned to. So here you can see that for a mutual fund that has multiple holdings, we can view the breakdown in which asset classes have been assigned. If you have a linked account, you can change which asset class the holding has been assigned to as well. So we're going to go ahead and go into this linked account. So we'll click on the pencil icon over here, click under account and holdings assumptions. So in here, you'll be able to view the holdings that are in this account along with the option to edit these. If we click on the pencil icon next to the holding, you will see the option to view and edit the multiple asset classes. We will go ahead and click on that. And in here, you can change the percentages for the various asset classes that have been assigned. Once you have made any changes in here, they will not revert back. So we have to remember to click save, very important, and save here again. And while we are in here, I also want to show you that since we were just talking about asset reallocations, this is where you'll find the option to exclude an account from a future asset reallocation. So you just click yes here. And then we'll make sure to click save and click save again. So we're going to take a look at one of the accounts that isn't linked, and I will show you how to manually edit and enter the holdings. So we're going to click on the pencil icon next to this account labeled brokerage account. And again, we're going to go to the account holdings and assumptions. So in here, you'll see the option to enter underlying holdings. So you'll want to click yes here, and then we can go in and actually enter the holdings. You'll also see the option up here to enter tickers and shares for each holding. And we're going to want to toggle that to yes. And this enables us to bring in the daily balance for each holding so that you do not have to update it. So we're going to go ahead and add a holding. And first we're going to enter the holding name, which will be Microsoft. We are going to skip over the current balance and leave that field blank. And then we will enter the ticker and the amount of shares. And then we're going to assign this holding an asset class, and we'll go ahead and give that the asset class of growth stocks and hit save. And now that we hit save, you'll see that the balance field has automatically updated based on the amount of shares that have been entered. So if you don't know the exact number of shares that you own, you can keep playing around with the share amount until you reach a number that is close to or exactly what you own. So for example, if I change this to 320 instead, you'll see that the balance is immediately updated. So for those that are entering mutual funds, you have the option to enter multiple asset classes. If you don't know where to find this type of information, you can look up the mutual fund in Morningstar, for example, and take a look at the portfolio tab. I'll show you this in just a minute. This will help you figure out the underlying holdings and the underlying asset classes. So for example, we're going to go ahead and enter a mutual fund called Schwab US Mid Cap Index Fund. So we'll just name it Schwab US Mid Cap Index. And again, we're going to leave the current balance blank. The ticker for this is SWMCX. And we will enter 200 shares. And we're going to skip entering any asset class here, and we're going to go into the multi-asset classes instead. So I've already looked, oops, we'll do this. Here we go. I have already looked up the investment breakdown for this mutual fund, so I know that most of the stocks are mid-cap, which the name of the fund also tells us. But what I will do is pull up the Morningstar portfolio for this mutual fund so that you can get a better idea of what we're looking for. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. Give me one brief second. Oop. Hold on. There it is. 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. If you cannot see the Morningstar, please let me know. Can you see that, Doug?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if we look at the breakdown, like I mentioned, we're looking at Morningstar right now, and we're looking on the portfolio tab. So if we look at the breakdown here, which is circled, we can assign this holding 48% in growth stocks and 52% in value stocks. And what we did here is we added the numbers in the value column and assigned those as value. And then we added the numbers in the growth field or column and assigned those as growth. And then we split the blend numbers equally between the two, which is how we landed with 48% in growth and 52% in value. And some of this will be guesswork, which is why linking your accounts through Yodlee is so valuable so that you don't have to do all this extra work to make your plan projections accurate. When investment accounts are linked through Yodlee, the investment assets are updated daily, and we are able to retrieve every underlying holding, such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and more. We also retrieve the asset class that the holding is assigned to, and this allows us to map the holding to the correct asset class within WealthTrace. It also allows us to pull in the historical information for that holding, which is extremely valuable and adds to the accuracy of the projections. And another huge benefit of linking your accounts through Yodlee is that when we're running our Monte Carlo simulations, we're able to drill down into every holding that you own and look at the history of the asset class to see what its average rate of return, volatility, and correlation with your other assets has been. This makes it possible for us to offer the most accurate Monte Carlo result that you can get because we're actually looking at every single holding that you own. And for those that are worried about linking accounts due to security reasons, Yodlee is trusted by some, if not the most, of the largest banks and brokerages in the country. They have been a leading provider of cloud-based financial technology services for nearly 2 decades, and they are required to meet some of the most stringent security, privacy, and compliance standards in the world.
Yeah, and I would add to that, we get this question quite a bit. We do not store any usernames or passwords or account numbers, so we don't have any security worries from that standpoint. It's
Mhm.
all handled by Yodlee. And one more thing, Camille, did you mention the Q&A and how people can get to that if they want to ask a question in real time?
I
Type.
just mentioned that I think it's on the bottom of their Zoom window.
Okay, yeah, if you guys want to type in anything,
Yep.
any questions, feel free to hit the Q&A and I will answer as many as I can.
Thank you. I also want to mention that we hope to have the ability to we hope to have the ability for all holdings to pull in the asset classes automatically for those entering the tickers manually. This is something that we're actively working on, and we hope to have added as a feature in the near future. But we're going to go ahead and click out of this. We'll make sure to hit save. Hit save here. And before we head over to the investment history and breakdown screen, like I mentioned earlier when we were looking at the asset reallocation setting, I told you I would show you where to find our model portfolios and how to edit those. So we're going to quickly just head over there. And to do so, just click on your username up here to the right, and then my plans/account. It might just say account for you unless you also have the multiple plans feature. So once we are in here, we're going to click on this option over here that says model portfolio/asset allocation strategies. So in here, you can edit our model portfolios by clicking on any of these numbers here and the names. You can also add your own model portfolio by clicking on add strategy and delete any of ours. But let's head back into the plan and dig into the investment history and breakdown section. So there are actually two different ways that we can get there. One pretty obvious way is to just click on the investment history and breakdown header up here, but you can also click on any of your investment accounts. So if we click on this one, this will immediately bring you over to the holding screen for the account that we clicked on. And it's kind of a shortcut to view the investment history and breakdown for that specific account. So in here, you can view the historical data on all of your investment accounts and also look at all the holdings are in each account. On the holding screen, you can see the asset allocation by individual account or group any type of accounts together. You can also choose to group by account type by clicking here. So for example, if we wanted to just view the asset allocation for all of our retirement accounts, you can click on that. But we're going to go ahead and click on all accounts. So we can look at every single holding that we own. When we click on all accounts, you'll be able to see the overall asset allocation for all of those accounts here. And we can also scroll down to look at the individual holdings, and we can see the current balance, percentage of account, and year-to-date return. And just to avoid any confusion with the return shown here, This number is the public year-to-date return for the holding. It is not your specific year-to-date return. And if you see an NA next to a holding, it either means that there has been no ticker entered or it is a cash holding or a cash equivalent holding, like the Schwab Government Money Market Fund. And if we scroll all the way down, you can see the balance across all your holdings and the total average year-to-date return. But we're going to go ahead and scroll back up and we're going to navigate over to the performance screen. On the performance screen, you can see, you can view the year-to-date, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10-year historical performance for your individual holdings. You can select which account you'd like to view that information for. We're going to go ahead and click on all of our accounts. We want to view all of it. So now we're able to see the performance for every single holding we own, which is extremely valuable when analyzing your investment portfolio. If we scroll all the way down, you can also view the average return across your holdings for the various time periods. And then if we scroll back up, if you click on any one of your holdings down here, you'll be able to see the last 10 years of performance for that specific holding. You can see the performance numbers listed down here, or you can also hover over any of these bars. And then we're going to pop over to the compare holdings performance by clicking on this subheader right here. So in here, we can compare holdings that we own to other holdings to see if they have been performing better. So for example, we can compare the performance of the Schwab S&P 500 index fund to VIG, which is a Vanguard index fund. So you can see the last 10 years of performance here, or you can also scroll down and see it grouped into 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10 year. Just like the previous screen we were on, you can see the returns listed here, or you can also hover over these bars. You will also see the expense ratio for the funds here, which tells you how much you are paying to own the fund. We will talk more about this shortly. If you want to compare another holding, we just click on any of the funds down here. And now we're comparing Dodge & Cox to the Vanguard fund instead.
Yeah, I'd like to add, it might be obvious, but it's important for this screen. Part of the value is a lot of us here, or if you have a financial advisor, let's say, and you have a fund, and they say, we make up our fees by performing very well versus the market for this fund, but maybe you don't know that that's true. Well, what you can do is take that fund here and compare it to a Vanguard fund, let's say, that's very similar, or maybe it's supposed to be almost exact, and you can see if that is true. Has it really outperformed let's say an index fund that's maybe lower cost?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So let's pop over and look at the performance by account instead. So this only works for linked accounts. So we have a savings, which is a linked account shown here. So another good reason to link your accounts through Yodlee instead of entering them manually. We can only show you the performance for the duration that your account has been linked in WealthTrace. So if you linked your account 6 months ago, you can see the performance of your account for the last 1 to 6 months. And then we're going to go ahead and pop over to income. You can see the income for your linked accounts here. We'll go ahead and click on B savings account instead. And we're going to look at the last, whoops, let me make sure I click that. There we go. And we're going to look at the last 1 year of income. You can see the income generated by a specific holding over here to the right, and you can see the total income generated down here at the bottom. You can also hover over the pie chart to see the total income amount. And the income that we're referring to here is the interest and dividends that have been paid out by the holdings. And some of these may show a 0, and usually that's due to rounding or the reporting that's coming through from the broker. We pop over to balances over time. So in here we can view, which is pretty obvious, the balances over time. Again, for linked accounts only. So we're looking at actually we're going to change this to A savings. So you can change it by clicking down here. And we're going to look at the last 1 year. So you can hover over the graph and you will see the historical balances. You can see the balance on a specific date and 1 day change. If you'd rather view the data in a table format, you can click on this little icon up here, and then you can scroll down to see how your balances have changed. I also want to mention while we're on this screen that you can export any of this information from any of these screens by clicking on the format you'd like to export to here and then clicking on the little cloud icon. And like we mentioned briefly before about the fund fees, we're going to look at those now. So for those that aren't familiar with fund fees and turnover, these apply to mutual funds and ETFs. The fund turnover refers to the rate at which a mutual fund or ETF buys and sells assets within its portfolio. A higher turnover indicates more frequent trading activity, and a lower turnover signifies a more buy and hold strategy. The percentage shown here represents the portion of the fund's holdings that were replaced over the last year. And then the expense ratio refers to the annual fee that you pay to own the mutual fund or ETF. It is a percentage of your investment in the fund and it covers the costs of operating the fund. We show the fund fees and turnover for all the accounts in the plan here, regardless if they are linked or manually entered. And being aware of the fees that you're paying to own a fund is really important since it cuts into your overall profits. And then we're going to select all quickly. And then when I selected all, you can see that this little button popped up here. And all this does is group or ungroup the holdings. So if I ungroup them, I can see all of them regardless of which account they're in. And another feature that is on all the screens is that you can click on the headers to sort the rows. So if you want to sort them by highest to lowest or vice versa, you can click on these headers. So if you want to see what has the most turnover, you can go ahead and sort that. And last but not least, we're going to take a look at the transactions. So this only works for linked accounts as well and for the duration that they have been linked. So we'll open the transactions for a savings, which is selected already, and we'll look at the last year of data or transactions. So you can see any transfers that have been made, trades and income being paid out, such as interest and dividends. You can select multiple accounts as well. So if we go ahead and add on B savings, we can see the transactions for both of those. And you can also search within transactions. So if I only want to look at the trades that have happened in these two accounts, I can search that and it'll only show me the trades. And for people that have accounts spread across multiple brokerage firms, being able to view all the transactions, performance, and holdings for your various accounts in one place is really valuable and helpful. This allows you to just log into one website to view all your data instead of having to log into multiple institutions. A lot of the information that we show in the investment history and breakdown section isn't even available with many brokers. So unless you link your accounts, you may not even be able to view most of the data that we have gone over here today. And before we wrap things up, we wanted to give you guys a little preview, or I guess sneak peek of the new user interface. There has been a lot of changes to this section in the new UI, so we just want to show you what that looks like. So I'll go ahead and pull that up. So this is what the new user interface is going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and go to the cash flow inputs in this one. So the labels are a little bit different, but the underlying information is all the same. So if we go down to the A savings account we were just looking at, for example, this is what the data input looks for that. And if you wanted to enter or edit the holdings, you can pop in here. So it's a little bit easier to view, a little bit more modern. So we just wanted to give you guys a preview of what that looks like. And just like I showed you the shortcut before with the other version of the software, In this one, your shortcut here is to click on this little magnifying glass within the investment account. And this immediately takes you over to what's now called Investment Insights instead. All the same pretty much, but just a different label. So I just wanted to show you quickly that this is what it's going to look like. And while we're here, I wanted to launch a poll for everyone to answer. We've just started doing these, so we just want to give it a try. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that right now. Everyone should see a user interface question pop up. If you want to answer it, that would be great. No pressure. So while you guys are answering that, that is pretty much it as far as the software goes, but I do want to mention all of our various options for customer support. So we have a live chat, which let me go back to the original software while we're here. We have a live chat, which you can get to by clicking down here to the right. If there are no live agents, then you can leave us a message and we will get back to you as soon as possible. We also have a very extensive knowledge base, which I will also show you, which looks like this. And here you can answer, or sorry, type any questions that you have, and any related articles will pop up. And we also are excited to let you guys know that we will be releasing our new revamped user interface early next year, which I just showed you, which means that the software will be much faster and even easier to use. We will also be putting together financial planning courses for active subscribers soon. So for example, we will discuss things like how to determine the best order of withdrawals, Roth conversions, what are they, when do they make sense, how to interpret your Monte Carlo results, and much more. Let me go back to that. And finally, we also offer expert support sessions with Doug Carey, who's the founder of WealthTrace and a chartered financial analyst, also here in the webinar. He can audit your plan for you and review all of your inputs with you. And if you have any questions, feel free to send them through the Q&A right now, or you can send them through the live chat whenever you're ready, or you can email us at support@mywealthtrace.com, and we will be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I also wanted to let people know that are beta testers for the new UI. And first, I'll thank you again for being a beta tester. That I'm going to send out an email very soon about testing a couple new sections, Monte Carlo and the investment insights section that we were just showing. So that's hopefully within the next few days. And then after that, we'll move on to a couple more sections, and pretty much be it. We're hoping to release in March next year.
Yeah, very exciting. We're getting closer. Okay. Well, that's it unless anyone has any other questions. I can see that Doug is answering one right now in the Q&A. Thank you everyone for attending. And if anyone wants to rewatch this to look at some of the stuff we went through in detail, we will be sending out the link to watch it on YouTube as well. So if we went a little too fast, you'll be able to view it again. And we will have more webinars coming up, especially as we get closer to the new UI user interface. We'll definitely be doing some webinars on how to use that, but it should be pretty easy for everyone that's using the current software. Not too much has changed, just looks and feels better. But that's it. Do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap up the webinar?
That's it from my end. Thanks again, everybody.
All right. Thank you everyone for attending, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
Yes, same here. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.